Hey, yo, everyone. We are live for this second episode of the show that has no name so far, but I got some awesome guests today, Chuck Pineau and Travis Gibb, two indie comic book creators that got to talk with me of three interesting subjects that are in the Gundam right now. So we got a Google Stadia that has been like officially launched or announced yesterday, and Chuck and Travis, I think you saw the movie as well, X-Men Dark Phoenix, that just came out. And we got a third subject of Jim Lee that is making a lot of fucking money right now on Kickstarter, and we're gonna talk about that. So hi guys, how you doing?
I'm doing solid. What about you, Trav?
I'm eating. Just eating. I'm great. How are you?
He's on his face, so he's happy.
You need a beer.
I mean, I'm a little disappointed. If I knew that Kevin was a Street Fighter fan, I probably wouldn't have came on the show. I'm more of a Mortal Kombat guy. I mean, we've talked about that in the past.
Honestly, I hate Street Fighter. I did buy that thing because it's the only machine I could find that has like the maximum of button on it. So I want to actually modify the machine and put like 500 games on it. So that's the only reason.
Okay.
But for me, it's the worst. I hate it, man. It's like too technical and all this shit. I just want to punch some shit. So I don't care. Like technical is not for me. Marvel versus Capcom, my favorite fighting game. That's so fun.
Sure. That's a good one.
There you go. So guys, do you want to plug something before we start?
You're the one who needs to plug more than me right now, bud.
I always have something to plug, right? It's ridiculous. It's getting out of control. I actually need some therapy about it. Yeah, I've got three things on. Chuck, I'll let you take the A word. You can have that one, and I'll take the A word. The A word. So I've got Broke Down in 4 Dead Bodies. Your second chance to get it is that's live on Indiegogo. Really love to hit that, at least halfway mark, so I can get some money out of it. We've raised a little bit. It's starting to grow in the last couple of days, but we need support. It's basically people who didn't pick up Broke Down 4 Dead Bodies when it was at Kickstarter. We're finishing it up right now, getting to the printers hopefully early next week. So things are going great on that. If you want the book, go get it. We also have the Why Faith anthology. That is live on Indiegogo. That also needs like $700 to finish it off, so he can get money out of it. He's run it for 2 months. He's been I've got a great story in it. The Why Faith story is probably one of the favorite stories I've written. So both on Indiegogo. So today I'm not promoting a Kickstarter for once. I'm promoting Indiegogo. Weird.
There you go, man. Yeah, go ahead, Chuck.
I am promoting a Kickstarter, the Advocator Summer Edition. We got some really great people on there. We got Martha Schwartz's Seed Seekers, which I'm working with her on as an editor on the next issue. We've got Brian K. Morris. Who else do we have on that one, man?
We have Rob Anderson.
Does he actually write? I thought he just he took care of other people's stuff.
Right. According to him. Yep. We got Rob Anderson. He's got his Monsters and Barbara. What else we got? We got Joseph Duez. His second one is in there.
Yep.
Did you say Brian K. Morris?
I did say Brian K. Morris.
We got Harold White, which is a newcomer to the indie market. He actually has a small presence, but he's never done a Kickstarter or anything. And he's got a superhero comic in there called Macia, the Samoan Wolf.
Oh, cool.
Cool shit.
So yeah. The Advocator's done really well. When we were at MegaCon, all of us who were selling them, I think we ended up selling about 50 books, somewhere around there, all together.
That's cool.
No, 64. 64.
Boom.
64. Okay.
Yeah, 64, and then 10, and then 15 at C2E2 because that's where
everything happened. All C2E2. I never been to the show, but everyone is like, "This is the show I want to go." So I guess it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, you definitely got to. Did you mention John Horsley's stuff? Not John Horsley, John Crusher.
No, I did not.
So this is kind of a neat one. So this is the first indie book that we've got that's connected to a bigger Diamond one. So for anyone who goes Rochella, that's in Diamond, Lopside is a character in that, has a exclusive story in the Advocator.
Yeah.
Nice. So this is Travis. This is Mr. fucking Chuck Pineau. So go check this out, guys. And we go directly on the subject of today. The first one is the Google Stadia that just been like officially announced. You got like a pre conference 2 months ago. for the developers that we're talking about more the technical stuff, and now they did the conference for the consumer. So Google is jumping into the console war, and I think this is the most interesting war that we had in the last year, since Nintendo is kind of out and doing their own thing, and we got Xbox and PlayStation, but now we got Google Stadia that say, hey, no, the future of console is without console. So this is really interesting, and for me, I did pre-order the thing yesterday. I was like, I want to pre-order that. It's $130. It's nothing. Let's try it. And the thing with Google Stadia that I found really interesting, it's finally on mobile. You don't need to play like shitty games anymore. You can bring your AAA game with my Google Pixel. This is important because they said yesterday in the conference 2 months ago, they were talking about, oh no, you could play on phone. And yesterday they said it's gonna start on Pixel and after other smart device. So I think that's actually a boomer for a lot of consumer that doesn't own a Pixel, because Pixel has not been as big that it should be on the market. So guys, is it something that excites you as a gamer and a consumer to actually think that, yeah, I have no more console to have, I could just bring my controller to a friend's house or playing the boss with my controller on my phone? Is it something that excites you, or you think that it's something that just like, for example, the Wii or all the Rock Band and stuff like that is just kind of an accessory that is going to be cool for 2 weeks, and after we'll be like, oh, I go back on PlayStation for the exclusivity?
You want to go first? You want me to go first there, Chuck?
Actually, I can do this real quick. I probably have less to say about it. I think it's exciting. I think it'll be a lot of fun. However, I will say, anybody who's watched gaming history, anyone who tries to do anything new first, fucking fails. Watch it. The first handheld to go color failed. Several of them failed. Anytime Sega tried to do like CD, or Sega went Sega 3D and all that kind of stuff, failed. If you're the first to jump onto something new, you pretty much go under. So I'm gonna walk into this one with trepidation. I'm going to wait and see how it works for everybody else. I think it's a lofty goal, and I'm a little worried.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's good. I can see your point of view, but I feel that this is just the next evolution of Steam, right? This is basically just Steam 2.0. Yeah. It's getting it to every TV, allowing you to basically move it from thing to thing. What's great about it is you don't need we can have these Chromebooks now, right? These Google Chromebooks that are garbage, that that parents are buying so their kids can game, and then they can't game on them. It fixes that whole problem. It's a 140 upgrade to fix that problem. That's going to be a huge, game setter. The negative is how much are these games going to cost when you don't truly own the game and they're going to be on the network? Anybody who's done, some of these games, they want to own the copy. If you remember correctly, when Xbox One first came out, you didn't need the disc. It would automatically download your disc, and then it would just pull it off the server. And people are like, bullshit, it will. I paid for this disc. I'm playing my game. I think you are going to get some of that stuff, because we've learned that we don't truly own anything on the web. Like, nothing belongs to us. So that's my feedback. But other than that, I think it's going to be I don't think it's going to be a sleeper hit. I think it's going to take the world by storm. I think it's going to be big, but I don't think it's going to affect the console sales. I think it's going to affect Steam sales.
That's a good point, because I do personally own a Chromebook and a PC. I have both of them because I'm a Google freak in some way. I love the Google products. Since I have a Pixel, I'm like, oh, dang, I love that. And the Chromebook, honestly, if you use it well and you understand that this is a cloud PC and you don't put like a lot of shit on it, it's a really good computer, honestly. If you really use it for what it is, and I think that's the problem of most of the consumer, it's a product that is not understand in some way. You don't understand that it is a cloud PC, that when you actually want a picture, when you want to download a video, you download it on your Google Drive and not on the PC, because there is no storage on that. It's for that all the Google Chromebook fell, is because of the storage doesn't exist. So I think that's a problem with Google or anyone, like you said, Chuck, that want to try a new product, put a new product on the market. It's you put something on the market, so it's not understand right away. So same thing with Chromebooks, same thing for, I think for the Stadia, it's going to be hard to make understand what a product is. Because if you say to someone like you got no, for an older person, for example, did not see the actuality and stuff like that. Hey, this is a console, but where is the console? This is not a console for me, And I think that there will be like a barrier of understanding from the consumer, or even why do I pay $10 a month for a game that I don't give a shit? Even for Netflix, it's been like a long transition. If you remember, I think like Netflix started in 2005, but really being understand like 5 years ago maximum, So I do think that it's a transition moment that we're gonna live with that.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a transition. But like I said, I think that anybody who's embraced Steam, they're going to jump on this. And it's going to fix their problem. Because Steam, basically, there's new games on Steam, and I'm not saying that, but the majority of people who buy the Steam deals, they're buying these old-fashioned games that they missed as a kid, and they buy them in bulk for 20 games for $10, and they're happy, and they're playing these things. It's going to be really good. The thing is that they're going to need to do, though, quickly, let's put those achievement levels in, and all that, and connect that together.
Yeah, that's interesting. And from what I understand with the plan that they are going for, it's actually kind of the PS Plus type of subscription. You're going to get some free game, but the new games you will need to buy at full price. So they're not coming with a fully into Netflix or any streaming services way. Like, it's not you pay $15 a month and you get everything for free. It's going to be like, oh, those games are free right now, but you need to pay for the rest. So it's not like the big deal that a gamer would want or a casual player would like to have, actually. It's like you need to pay your game. So it's really, really a competition type of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like we lost Chuck for a minute.
Chuck is dead. Oh, no. Probably you just get out of the stream to buy a Stadia, I guess.
Right, yeah. He wanted to click. He's like, oh, where can I get this? I want to be a founder. And the founder deal is such a great value.
Yeah, it's for that I didn't take it. And something interesting they did with a founder deal is actually they don't bill now. They will only bill at shipping. So that was why yesterday I was like, okay, I pre-ordered that shit, and if I don't want it or I don't have the budget at the moment, I will just pull off my pre-order. So this is really interesting from Google. It's like, oh yeah, you want it? No problem. You don't pay now. Wait until we are ready with the product. And I think probably that's a reflection on what did happen with the Fold Galaxy. I don't know if you have seen that, like the Samsung Fold phone that just broke right away 2 weeks before the pre-order shipped. Like, it was not working. So I guess
and the Atari.
Remember
the new Atari that came out that they put on Kickstarter. They raised all much money for it, and it's still not out yet. I think that they've got to hesitate. And that Atari, I was super stoked about it. And then you looked at it, it's basically a Raspberry Pi. Yeah, it's great if I want to make my own games and spend all the money to make Atari do what I can make anything else do. It's great.
True. That's totally true. And I think that's something that probably Google is backing off, because yesterday conference, and if you look like the one that was released 2 months ago, it's 2 months ago, it looked like a finished product. Like, they were ready. They got all the things that, we got like the next big thing. And yesterday's like, when we're gonna release it in November, it's just work on the Pixel phone and maybe not on your TV. And they don't look ready. Like, they look like, we need to push that product out, but we're not sure. And we actually shipping beta system. So I think they're kind of playing it safe, like, we don't take your money now, and just at shipping. So I'm pretty sure that actually my founder pack going to be probably shipped like 6 months after that. I don't feel confident in product right now.
Right.
And they're not the first one. Go ahead, Chuck.
And I feel you on that one. Everyone, it's funny how much we all remember how well Google has done, but we forget when they've screwed up. I mean, come on. Where's your Google Glass, people? You're wearing that thing around? There's been some failures, guys. Like, don't fucking forget that shit.
I did totally forget about that. Did it come out, or it's never happened?
No, it came out. It just didn't do well.
Okay, yeah.
No, it did terribly. It went the way of the Segway, man.
Where's your Zune, people? Where's your Zune?
That's true. That's something that interests me, and I think that since you're both into marketing and stuff like that as well, you all know Google is the data master. They own all our data. They know what we do. They know where we go. And they did something really interesting with the Stadia that they didn't announce. So for example, you watch a trailer of a video game on YouTube. Just on YouTube, there's gonna be a button on the video that you just click and you jump right away in the game. You watch, for example, PewDiePie on YouTube making a video of that game. You click the button and you're gonna play it at the same time PewDiePie. And something even cooler, for example, your Let's Player is at somewhere in the game. You can jump in the game where the Let's Player is at the moment and just start right away at the same place that the cosplayer, not the cosplayer, but the Let's Player is. So it's really interesting that actually YouTube going to be paired with the system that you can jump, or you watch a trailer, you can buy it now. So that's something interesting because, you know, when you search something on the net, you go on YouTube, you go on Google. They are the master of that. So they really, really have this advantage versus any other gaming platform. Is you go on Google every day, every fucking hour of your life. And they're going to put ads of Stadia before, of course, the PS4 version of the game. They're going to really push that thing. And since you don't need to own the system of Stadia, this is really important. If you play on PC, you don't need the gamepad. You can really play on your PC like Steam, for example, you were saying, Travis. So this is interesting. You don't need to own anything to play the Stadia. The founder pack is just to have like the controller and the Chromecast and Destiny 2 that's going to be included as well. So, but you don't need that to play it. So that's really interesting. So someone that is on YouTube and got like the buy it now button directly on YouTube, it's like, it's the same thing for streaming. You know, we don't go on pirate site now to listen to music or watch a movie because it's so easy with streaming that you pay $10 a month to play the game. So I think it's going to be pretty much the same thing with Stadia. You know, it's going to get so easy with YouTube, just like I push the button and now I play the game, you know. So I do think that it can affect anyone in the console circus even more than Steam with actually that factor that YouTube and Google search engine is owned by the one that run the console.
I think this is just another step towards the apocalypse, guys. You've seen it a million times where in these post-apocalyptic worlds, or where these corporations end up owning everything. Between Google and Amazon, it's happening.
It's happening.
They're doing everything. So I'm just saying, enjoy your Stadia when you're having to fight off rats and mutant zombies and shit.
do you think that Amazon can launch a console after that, or you don't think they would go into that because they're already like with Amazon Prime? Do you think they could be like a Prime gaming system and they own Twitch? So it could be like the war of YouTube versus Twitch that continue on that. Like, okay, you can push the button on YouTube to play the game on Stadia, but you can push the button to play on the Amazon console on Twitch. Do you think that it could go that way as well?
I don't know that it's a fight worth fighting, really, for them. I mean, they deal with physicality, with physical products that come to you in so many ways that why would they really need to focus too much on actually making their own gaming systems?
See, I don't know about that. With the Twitch, they can't lose that Twitch because YouTube's got that ongoing revenue source of that Amazon's trying to do. And even Amazon Prime, if you think about it, they kind of bait you into accidentally buying it once a year, right? They're like, you're already getting this many things. Your shipping's $40. Just pay the extra $20, and we'll give you Prime for free. You know, they kind of knit you in that. And Prime is a horrible streaming platform. I mean, right? Like, oh, look at all these cool shows that are on. If you want to watch one episode and then pay $1.99 for the rest, you know. When you compare it to it. So I don't know, but Twitch, you know, they make it, you know, and Twitch is really smart, right? They have their big guys. Apex Legends, when it had that small hit, they jump people onto it, you know, jump off of Fortnite, go to Apex, because that's going to be our big hit right now. And they're controlling the market and saying what's what. So it's going to be interesting when they get away from that. And here's the other thing. You're going to get your money quicker on Twitch than you will YouTube.
Oh yeah.
If you're an actual like streamer, like that's why they switched to Twitch. It was financial. You get your money faster. YouTube waits and pays you at the end of the month. Sometimes at the end of the quarter, depending on your level of subscribers and all that.
And not just that, it's, the Twitch consumer has that habit of consuming, like with giving donation to streamer and all this thing that you get directly on your PayPal. So if you're fucking broke one day and you want to bring your girlfriend to the restaurant, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go on Twitch for an hour and get some donation. It's like, okay, we're gonna go to the restaurant and get some cocaine, bitch. It's really easy money for a streamer. Even faster than YouTube. Now YouTube has the super chat, but the problem with YouTube, not really a problem, but YouTube is kind of a game in some way. You need that amount of hours of watching time. You need that amount of subscribers, of the number of videos per month to really get access to monetization in the super chat. So that's something different with YouTube, but it's both different market and really interesting. And it's for that I can't wait for the Stadia. But something that's going to be interesting, it's next week is the E3. So I guess that Sony and Xbox gonna rebound on that for sure. You got someone like Google say, hey, I'm your next competitor. I don't think that Xbox and Sony gonna be like, oh, cool, welcome Google, let's go take a tequila. I do think that PlayStation and Xbox gonna bring a streaming service or something similar to the platform. I don't know if you remember your PlayStation players. PlayStation did try something a few years ago, but did flop extremely. Was the PlayStation Now that was named? But the problem is you needed like a really, really high internet connection, and you really needed to like have the best internet connection in the world to actually run the thing. It was impossible to play for like 99% of the planet, so it did flop. Now,
well, I think they still have it. It's just it only does like PlayStation 3 games now.
Yeah.
So like they only do games that aren't going to have huge server loads, right? And so they still have it. It's not what they expected it to be.
Yeah, and do you think that it could bring actually a PlayStation 2.0 edition? I guess that's something they're going to go for, like PlayStation Now 2. I don't know what they're going to call it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to have a rebound. So next week going to be really interesting at E3.
Well, isn't someone not coming to E3 this year? I don't remember who, but one of the big three is not coming this year. I don't remember who, but I remember hearing. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe it's PlayStation that's not going.
Yeah, I think it is.
Not going. Wow.
Yeah, one of the big three is not
actually
going.
a lot of them?
Yeah. PlayStation 3 is not coming to E3 in 2019. Yep.
Wow.
And not only is PlayStation not going, but I believe it's either Xbox or Nintendo. One of those two is actually doing their stuff in a whole separate building.
Okay, fuck. So I guess something is going down at E3 right now with the organization of something like that.
Well, you know what? So a lot of those companies are actually saying, E3, you're not about us. You're not actually you're not helping us at all. You're basically making us more work. And PlayStation this summer, I don't know if you guys have been able to do this at any of the conventions you're going, but I'm going to Celebrity Fan Fest in 2 weeks as I'm tabling. And PlayStation has a fucking bus that they bring out, and they're touring across the country. And that bus is going to be at a lot of the Comic Cons, and it's going to be at Celebrity Fan Fest.
Yeah, they do the same at Montreal Comic Cons. Half of the con is like PlayStation, man. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But I'm really surprised. So I guess they're gonna do a live show, something like that as well, because it's all online. You don't do it for the press that they're watching live, not live, but are seat in the theater to watch it. The press can watch online as well. So I'm pretty sure they're gonna do a show, a live stream, because PlayStation got really huge thing coming up, like Last of Us 2. That is probably the most anticipated game as an exclusivity. Death Stranding from Kojima is like the biggest thing right now online with the trailer that had been released last week. So I don't think that PlayStation going to pull out a big presentation. Even Crash Bandicoot racing game that is coming out next month. So I'm sure that they're going to do something. But this is interesting that they're pulling out that thing just before you got like Google is like, oh, we're going to do another presentation at E3. And you got Nintendo that coming out with new stuff, like pushing out the Switch with more exclusivity, and Xbox that are gonna try, I guess, win the next war console, because they did really fucking lose with the last one with Xbox One. That is like half of the sale of the PS4. It's crazy. If we think of the last generation, that Xbox was way bigger on the market than PS3.
But you got to look at the last 2 years of PlayStation. PlayStation has come with exclusive hits over and over again, and Xbox really hasn't been able to keep up. And I don't think Xbox stupid. I think Xbox has been working on something, and that's where all the stuff. like Sea of Thieves is the last big game that they came up with, but
True.
Xbox, PlayStation had what is it
God
called?
of War. God of War was
Well, they
huge.
had God of War, but even before that, their new franchise, the redhead with the red hair, I can't think of her name. I played the
Horizon
game.
Zero
Oh,
Dawn.
a reason something.
Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon
Yeah.
Zero Dawn was huge.
Dude, that was a fucking great
Monster Hunter was PlayStation exclusive for a long time. I think it's Xbox now, but it started out PlayStation exclusive for.
It's actually both now.
Yeah, but it started out for the first 3 months or 4 months, right? Like exclusive to PlayStation. Like it's killing, you know. But I don't think Xbox has been silent. You know, Xbox I think threw out a Halo a couple years ago, but it was again a reskin or whatever.
Xbox also they took Tomb Raider, and they got Tomb Raider first, but what I don't know if they understood it or not. But Tomb Raider, these games they were just a trilogy, so they only got 2 of them exclusively.
Yeah, and everyone. If I have choice between Uncharted and Tomb Raider, I go for Uncharted all the way, man. I don't care of Tomb Raider now. It was cool on the 64, but now Tomb Raider is a dead franchise to me. And
Are you kidding me? Have you
oh
played
yeah,
these
man. Yeah, but man, Uncharted is so cool. The online is one of the most fun online on the platform of PS4. So man, Tomb Raider, I don't give a shit, honestly. But that's my only opinion. I know a lot of people that did love new games. No worries, but. And Xbox did a lot of flaw with their exclusivity as well. Like Crackdown, the game was fucking shit. No one did like it. The critic did not like it. There was the last Mass Effect that was released so as well. On Andromeda or something like that was called. It did not blow up like the last one in Mass Effect. I was thinking just buy Xbox One for the Mass Effect. But when I saw the review, I was like, oh, okay, no. But yeah. Let's go for the next topic, Chuck, and I think Travis as well. You saw Dark Phoenix yesterday that has like the worst reviews from reviewers of all the X-Men franchise so far. So I want to hear your thought. Is it that bad, or is it? Oh, that's cool.
Well, as you see, I have a huge Magneto poster, so I'm a huge X-Men fan. I know Chuck is, and you said Chuck, you saw it last night.
I saw what?
Did you see Dark Phoenix?
I saw the review.
Oh, you haven't seen Dark Phoenix. I actually saw it last night.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I'll give you a review. All right. It's not a horrible movie. However, in fact, I like the Last Stand Phoenix movie better.
Okay, fuck.
It's weird. Let me explain this.
Let me go grab a beer, okay?
Dark Phoenix is a worse movie. Is a better movie than The Last Stand, but Last Stand was a better Phoenix movie than the Dark Phoenix titled movie. It's very, very weird. Basically, here's the negative of it. There's no X-Men development whatsoever. None of the characters, evolve except for Jean Grey. They don't use 2 of the major characters throughout it. So 2 of the major people that you fall in love with, they don't use. The characters are kind of forced. Even Magneto and Professor X, who seem to be the forces of these first-class movies, are really just extras in this thing. So it failed, and they give us 3 new mutants, and I'm going to spoil it. So the first one is Dazzler, which is cool. We get to see Dazzler for half a second, and then 2 characters who I don't know. One is Selena, who's the Black Queen. Does not look like her. I thought it was Callisto until I read the credits. And some dude named Red Horizon who attacks people with his braided hair. I have never seen a mutant that attacks people with his braided hair. I'm not saying he doesn't exist. I'm just saying I've never seen him, and I've read X-Men comics since 1995.
Wow.
And this is what you end on, right? This is the last X-Men movie we're going to have till I'm guessing 2025 is the next time you'll see an X-Men movie. Do
you think it is as bad that actually, for example, the MCU had a plan to put the X-Men in it, that actually it's killed the market for it, that the box office could be a fucking shit, the review was so bad and things like that, it could kill the X-Men franchise for a while, and that even at Marvel they say, okay, maybe we'll wait for bringing back the X-Men, that people kind of forget that this horrible film.
Well, remember, they did it. They've already destroyed it once. You know, so they had X-Men Last Stand, and then they had Wolverine Origins, and they couldn't make an X-Men movie for 5 years till First Class. There's a 5-year gap between the two. So they've already killed it once, fixed it, and then they apparently want to end on a death. Go ahead, Chuck.
Fixed it. I mean, look, these movies have not been terrible. I really like the First Class take on it. What bothered me was each movie jumped 10 years, and yet they didn't. Like, it was kind of really poorly done in a lot of ways, where, like, you know, in the third movie, we now know that it's the 80s instead of the 60s, and yet we're seeing Havoc, who was, you know, like in his early 20s or late teens in the first movie. Now he should be, what, like into his 30s or so, and his little brother Scott, and I'm like, what? Are you guys even sure? Like, I don't know. The continuity is just a beast on those movies. They've done a terrible job of that. I think they were just trying too hard to fit it into reality, and not enough in making its own thing.
I mean, I will say that Days of Futures Past, the road cut is a beautiful piece of cinema. It's really, really good. But you have to. What's that?
I haven't watched the road cut, so I'll watch that.
That's the sad part, right? You have to buy a special edition that came out 6 months after the DVD release to get the best version of that. You know, I really like Days of Futures Past, but the rest of them are just kind of just a little bit more. I felt they've always done Magneto and Professor X right. Like, I feel like they've been consistent, even when Professor X was like drinking and doing heroin, which I thought was cool. And like, too, remember when he was like shooting up to walk?
Yep.
You know, so I feel that that's been right, but man, this is a horrible way to die on. Like, and you have the Phoenix, right? You could literally, what I would have done with this movie is I would have reset everything at the end to make it all flow in one continuity. So it's all in the same continuity, you know, have Dark Phoenix fix some things, because Phoenix can do that, and make it all, resurrect some people, do what she needs to do to make it so all these movies fit in one big giant circle, one big giant loop. But they didn't do that. Spoiler.
Did the movie feel rushed? Did the movie feel rushed at the end? Because I've read that a lot around the internet, that the movie is really rushed to actually say, hey, that's our last movie because we just signed a deal with Disney. So do you feel that the movie some part was cut, and probably that's for that you just said that there is no development of the X-Men, of the characters?
Yeah, they didn't try. They were just throwing out a movie to get last money, I think. They didn't. There was no plot development. There was no character development. Literally, no one develops as characters. Nobody's strengthened, and they got rid of the core of what makes the first X-Men's good. X-Men First Class and X-Men X-Men Days of Future Past and X-Men First Class and the original two X-Men. Remember when you watched the first X-Men movie and you're like, that girl is Asian and wearing a yellow jacket with big hair. That's Jubilee. They don't mention it, but you know it's Jubilee. So now there's all these kids around who you're like, I don't know who these kids are, and they forgot that. Even in remember the one where they go to the mall and Jubilee goes with them to the mall? She doesn't do anything, but she goes and hangs out with them in the mall, which is awesome. That's what makes the X-Men great. They have a great cast, and to not use them is ridiculous.
And guys, I have a question for you. Who do you think that if Marvel goes into the X-Men should play, for example, Wolverine? Like, who will be your dream cast?
Danny DeVito. I like that. I'm all in the Danny DeVito. If you could send the sign up to make that happen, I know that there's a petition online.
Yeah, there is a petition for everything.
Yeah. Make sure that that's in the link, Kevin, because I want as many of our viewers to make sure Danny DeVito.
Perfect. Let's go for that. Danny DeVito. Let's go. And Scott Summers. Who should it be? I don't know. Jim Carrey.
Right. Wolverine. I don't know.
Let's just cast the worst possible movie.
What?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Really don't know. Okay. I bet one of my favorite choice was actually Daniel Radcliffe. I think this could be really interesting to have him. I've seen that around. The guy that was playing Harry Potter. I think this could be interesting to bring someone like that, like Robert Pattinson with a Batman. you bring someone that has a fan base that has been built really younger, that you actually bring another fan base to the franchise and really renovel your fan. Like the problem with old franchise like that is now that the one that did follow the whole movies are in the 30s and plus, or my 20s. So you need someone that actually was there when the millennial was in the youngsters, and they were like, oh, okay, I love Harry Potter, I love Twilight, and bring someone like that. You know, the old geeks like us, but not me. I'm not that old. You're older than me, guys. I mean, I don't know. Us, the geeks, we will always be watching those movies because we are into it. But you need to bring the mainstream to it. Like actually Avengers did really well, like Marvel Studios did well with that. You need an actor that's gonna connect with them and actually bring them to the EPs and say, oh, I'm gonna retry those X-Men films that were not that great from what I remember. So if they go with Daniel Radcliffe, for example, that I think that as the morphology and kind of face with a beard, it could be really good as a Wolverine, I think.
For me, as an ongoing, a long time Wolverine fan, what a lot of people might not know is that Wolverine was actually based. A lot of his images and his attitude and whatnot were based on Clint Eastwood. Yeah. So I would love to see his son Scott Eastwood take up the flame and be Wolverine. I think he'd be a great one.
It's a good choice. Oh, tall. He is tall, I think, but like 6'2" or something like that. He did the
same thing Jackman did, and that is play short.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Like, Jackman was bent down a lot, and so you can just play it short.
All right, so he's super tall and he's too big for it, but I think Mr. Jon Snow, Kit Harington would probably make a great Wolverine.
Actually, I could see that.
I can see
He's got the scowling, he's got the emotion when he needs to, and he's got that anger and passion when he does a walk. It's just he's super tall, like super tall.
Totally, and they will announce that after Game of Thrones and stuff like that. You play on the hype of Game of Thrones, and I'm pretty sure that everyone will be like, oh yeah, I can see it and I want to see it. More than Pattinson, for example, that everyone will be like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to see that film because it's beloved actors. Everyone did love Game of Thrones. Like,
remember Chris Hemsworth was nobody. Chris Hemsworth was nobody before he was Thor. That's true. So they could grab it nobody.
And most of of the big superheroes name, Hugh Jackman he had a career before, but if you go, for example, with Henry Cavill was no one before that.
Right, sure. So I think you could go, and I think that's a safe bet on a lot of that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people who could do a great job. Keanu Reeves would be great, but I don't think he can play the role for 10 years, right?
That's true.
I think Keanu Reeves is a great thing. I want someone who's young enough who can play it for 10, 20 years like Hugh Jackman did. Hugh Jackman can play right now. Like, I don't want Hugh Jackman to go.
But that's what they did with the MCU, actually, and that's why if everyone saw the fucking movie, so we can talk about it. But that's the reason why at the end of Endgame's like, oh, those actors need to get out because they're getting too old for the role. Like, Iron Man, I could have seen him get older and be more in the background, but I guess it's more on Robert Downey to just change some next chapter in his life or something like that. But I could have seen old Iron Man in his suit, but at some point you understand, like, okay, you don't believe in action heroes when they're older. Like, we have seen a lot of action heroes from the 80s, like Sylvester Stallone, that thing did it great with Creed, for example, that he really understand. I'm too old for that, but now he's doing a Rambo, so he did probably not understand, but like
Expendables, like,
and
they're still doing it.
That's
true.
You
can't do a Terminator without Arnold.
Yeah, but in Genesis, I found that Arnold was really suffering from I don't believe in all Terminator like that. Like, the action scene were really cut, and you don't believe that he was in shape to make great action in that flick. All the action scene were made and cut. It's like, okay, I get it. He's too old for it. And but something I'm gonna be really interesting is Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford. Harrison Ford is 74 or something like that right now. It's like, do you see Indiana Jones with that old in the movie?
No, it's a mess, but we'll figure it out.
It's been for 5 years.
Why do you have to make more Indiana Jones movies, though?
No, you don't.
I guess that's my thought.
But because Shia LaBeouf didn't take it. Shia LaBeouf should have been taking it. The Booth failed. The Booth failed us.
Do
I
it,
got
Boof.
kicked off of Transformers, and nobody cares about the booth.
That's true. But the thing I think that Steven Spielberg kind of have the same disease than Ridley Scott. They kind of go, since they know they're gonna die really soon, or they're getting older, and they want to really push their craft to the end and really revisit what made them famous and made them happy in life. They want to go back on their old franchise and finish it like they want it to be finished before they die, like Ridley Scott with Aliens, all that thing. But and I think Spielberg's kind of same thing with Indiana Jones. You just don't want to go back and say, hey, okay, I don't want to finish on a Crystal Skull or something. And I think that was the title. That was so really the baddest in the Indiana Jones. Everyone agree with that, I think. So I don't think that you want to finish on that note, actually, and you want to go back and say, hey, I'm old, but I can still do something great. And I think Ready Player One was my favorite movie last year, so you can do it, I think.
Well, and Harrison Ford, he's going through something. Like, because he said he would never do Star Wars, he would never do back to Blade Runner, he would never go back to Indiana Jones.
Yeah, same thing.
He clearly needs money for something. I don't know if he went through a bad divorce. I don't know what happened, but dude's working.
Or it's the same phenomenon for him. Yeah, and I think actually probably for Harrison Ford is the same phenomenon. You just want to go, like, I don't know. You're the old guy, know for that. Everyone is always talking about Indiana Jones, always talking about Blade Runner, always talking about Star Wars even more. So you're like, okay, shut up. I'm going to do it again, at some point. It's like, oh, it's my life. And as a young guy, old guy, you're like, okay, I'm going to do it because I want everyone to shut up and just let me do these things,
Yeah.
Probably. So, guys, last topic of today, and not the worst. Jim Lee just launched like a terrific Kickstarter, and this is really interesting for the market because someone like Jim Lee, that actually half of the product in the preview is from him, he decided not to go on the traditional road for his backpack and not say, okay, we're gonna release in the preview some press release, and everyone will have know that you release in the preview is a backpack that is awesome. I really love the product. I think it's a great product and great idea. But he decided to go on Kickstarter to sell it. And what do you think that this tell on the industry that someone is Mr. Preview World in some way decided to go Kickstarter road?
I was gonna let Chuck.
Yeah, no, go ahead. You go first. Go first, man. I'm still learning about this one.
So yeah, let's talk about Jim Lee. So Jim Lee, this man can literally, in an afternoon, I was talking to my wife about this once. Imagine being Jim Lee as a person, right? You're sitting around with your wife. Your wife's like, I'd really like to go out, to maybe even Disney World. Jim Lee then draws for 20 minutes, sells it on eBay, and then get to go out to Disney because that's how talented that dude is, right? Like, this guy could literally just draw whatever he wants, throws it on eBay, and make a killing. The fact that he saw a need, and I don't think he saw a need. I think someone came to him with this product. I don't think it was his invention per se, and he doesn't claim it in the video that it's his invention.
No, the company did approach him.
Yeah. But he sees the need. I mean, because this is a drastic need, especially someone who goes to cons on a regular basis. When I first watched it, I was like, oh, I don't need anything for my portfolio. But he's like, no, but these people carry around comics and want them signed. We also have a solution for that. This is for the con goer. This is for these people. It's amazing. And the comics that he displays too, I love it. It's a lot of indie guys. Sync was in there and a few other things. Like, it wasn't just DC Comics. It was showing that, this could be used to really help you get to that level. And yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing that Jim Lee is bringing so much to the platform and knows that comics have the biggest amount of growth in the Kickstarter platform, period. And he's using it.
So Chuck, what do you think? Do you think that actually he's using Kickstarter because, it's not a product for the preview. It's just like, oh, this is something like not a cash grab, but something that the smaller creators, the new creators that are all on Kickstarter gonna jump on because it's, oh yeah, this is for your con and you're gonna jump in. Do you think that we are a demographic in some way? They're gonna say, hey, I want that product because I'm new in the game, and Jim Lee say, take it,
I mean, fuck, of course we're a demographic, and we're his demographic in a lot of ways, but also Kickstarter is just a really good platform and a really good way to kind of show his youthfulness, show that he's still he's still around, that he still matters and whatnot. And I mean, isn't this? I've never heard of Jim Lee being on Kickstarter before, because why the fuck would he have to? So I think this is kind of also his way of showing that, hey man, like, I'm cool, I'm with it. So, and it actually looks like a pretty cool product. My wife ended up getting me a Shark Tank backpack, and it's this backpack that you can't you basically, it's like an anti-theft backpack, and it's really badass. Actually, it's really cool. I enjoy it a lot. And so when I saw this, I took a look at it, and I'm like, actually, that's kind of fucking cool. Like, I get it. I think that it serves a purpose. Do I think it would have done as well without Jim Lee's name? Fuck no, it wouldn't be at, what is it, $190,000 in 3 days.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But
I think it's gonna hit $1 million.
Probably, I think so. Because we know it. Kickstarter is a marathon, and just in the last day, probably gonna do $200,000 or something like that. The last day is normally like 30% of what you have raised in 30 days. So I'm pretty sure that just in the last day, you're gonna reach the millions. And the reason why, it's if they're intelligent. And I've seen like press release everywhere. Something interesting they did with a press release. The press release was released before the campaign launch, and the link that they put in the press release was, when you build a campaign, that you can share it with your friends, but it's not live, so you can put like the reminder button when it's launched. So they did make a press release with that. Like, okay, this is the campaign. It's built, but it's launched in 2 days. And I think do you think it's an interesting strategy as a creator to go ahead and share a campaign before it's launched, and for the remember button? Or you think it's actually, you're wasting like your fourth day of talking about it?
No. Ask that question again?
What
was the question again?
Do you think that sharing the link of your Kickstarter when it is like bolded but not launched, where the moment that you can get comments from friends, or just like a notification button that people can click when you're gonna launch, do you think that it's a waste of your launch moment if you start talking and sharing your link before the campaign, like Jim Lee done? Do you think that it did help him reach that number actually, or it was a waste of marketing in some way? Because people cannot pledge.
You were going to reply, Chuck, so I'll let you reply, then I'll reply.
I think most of us have done it, man. Like, I mean, all three of us have been on Kickstarter and successful on Kickstarter. And I think we've all shown it off. I mean, obviously not on the same level, but you get people excited about it early. You get people to hit that remind button, to look at it later on and whatnot. So, I actually think it's a really good idea. And I think, more of us should consider it if we haven't.
I don't think it's necessary for Jim Lee. I don't think it affects his numbers one way or the other. I think Jim Lee's name got you in every comic book press website available. So I don't think it mattered at all. I think it more matters for us as smaller levels to get as much promotion prior to our launch as possible, to get people to know about it and be ready for it and excited for it, because that day one matters. That day one can build or make your campaign.
What, Chuck?
I agree with you. I think that look at this company. They're called X. Never heard of them before. Think about them like you think about you. And when you did your first Kickstarter, no matter all the hard work you've done, they had to have poured so much money into Jim Lee's pocket just to get him excited, and to show it off and talk about it. And the marketing and all that kind of stuff, they had to just do, it required so much money. So I'm sure they just pulled out every stop they could possibly think of just to make sure they get a return on their investment. And obviously it looks like it's worked, unless they put in stupid money.
That's a good point. Do you think that actually Jim Lee on the platform, we know in the past that there was Alan Moore, for example, that did a Kickstarter with Avatar Press. There is some big name left and right, but do you think that like the king of the king, the guy that is the publisher at DC, the guy that created Image with follow creators, do you think that this is the beginning of, okay, the preview world, big names, we're now on Kickstarter? Like, do you think that that's going to bring a Todd McFarlane, that's going to bring a few other big creators to go on a platform? Actually, this is good for us. It's mean Kickstarter bring more, it's bring the only shop, like the readers that just go to shop and doesn't shop online, to go directly on Kickstarter for some product and bring exposure to discovery page to other project. Do you think that it's gonna bring more consumer, more big names to the platform after a Gimli like that make a project?
I would normally say yes, but remember, like Hollywood, destroyed Kickstarter when it first started, right? Hollywood had a whole bunch of movies, did a whole bunch of stuff, and then they burned out the movie making section of Kickstarter. Where I think comics are a little bit more strategic. So I think that if they're going to do Kickstarter, they're going to do it as something special. And a lot of the old school comic guys, they don't want to acknowledge that Kickstarter is a threat to Image Comics or a threat to, and we're not a threat to Marvel and DC, regardless of what, but we're a threat to like Image and some of these other indie ones. Scout Comics, Aftershock, all these new ones, Source Point, they're great companies, but the more they go on that diamond route and the less from Kickstarter, they're going to have to fight in a bigger market to get fans.
Well, and I was speaking with someone recently, and I had talked about, maybe putting Belial, setting Belial up with a company that could get me on Diamond. And they said, actually, our Diamond rep doesn't want things that have already been on Kickstarter because it doesn't. You've already hit your fan base. You've already found them, and we want your whole fan base to be coming to Diamond, not to be. So you need something separate. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. So yeah, even itself is trying to pit itself sort of against Kickstarter and say, no. If you want to go through us, we'd rather you weren't on Kickstarter. And that's not a hard rule yet, but it feels like it's heading that direction.
That's interesting. So the war is not between Stadia and PlayStation; it's between Kickstarter and Diamond right now.
Right.
There's a lot of wars, buddy.
But this is really interesting because a few years ago, when I was a publisher, that was actually reverse. They liked it that a publisher was with a Kickstarter project because they were saying, "Oh, you're an indie, like it's art and preview for an indie." But now you come with a fan base that you have grown online, and you can sell like a different cover in the preview. So they come in the preview and bring more person to the shop. So it's interesting that they actually probably analyze that. Yeah, their Kickstarter is really strong and probably like the biggest distributor right now, and our shop are closing.
Right. Yeah, I think it depends on your numbers, right? So like Metal Shark Bro immediately went to Scout and did the binge thing and got it straight into Diamond. It's doing really well.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on, your fan base and what you've acquired. But I think they're going to want to see those big numbers, right? I don't think someone who, like myself, who did a $4,000 Kickstarter, that's great. And those are great Diamond numbers. Trust me, those are amazing Diamond numbers. Mm-hmm. They want to see a little bit, they want to see closer to, a 10,000 or 20,000 before they're really going to consider it.
Yeah, and totally. And are you gonna say no to Brian Pulido? I mean,
right? Exactly.
You cannot because he makes a lot of sales in Diamond after that. So at some point, I think that both are complementary. I mean, Kickstarter can be forced because we all know it's expensive to make a comic book, and it's not realistic for an indie or even an indie publisher most of the time. I know that Alterna, for example, gonna make Kickstarter for the trade paperback after that because the creator is like that with a budget of it because it's make no sense in some way because distributor and the shop they get caught and everything. So you make like $1 and less per copies as a creator. All do you gonna pay for a production of comics is between $2,000 to $5,000 an issue. Like it's impossible. The market is broken on that way, but it's still a really big exposure and part of the market that goes traditional in the traditional market of the comic book store. But I do think that we are at a transition moment, like the console.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. It's definitely going to bring people who hasn't checked out Kickstarter to this platform. So you are very lucky if you have a comic on Kickstarter right now because it's going to bring people to it. And it's going to bring creators because only people who are buying this bag are creators. And I don't care who you are, the majority of your fans at this point, if you're on Kickstarter, are probably creators supporting other creators. It just is.
That's so great.
It's just reality. Like we want to get beyond that to fans, and there is fans in Kickstarter, but I would say probably 30% of my Kickstarter people are, creators supporting creators.
Yeah. Totally makes sense because creators understand that you're there for the funding like them, so it just makes sense. And it's the same thing for all the categories. I've talked to someone as a filmmaker, is like, oh yeah, it's all directors that back my project. So it's normal because we understand what funding is as a creator.
Well, yeah, there's also creators or fans too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. There is an exposure, like 30% of my backers or something like that was people I don't know, And there is an exposure that comes with a platform for sure, and all the press release and stuff like that. You can go with it because Kickstarter now is understood by the mass market. We are at a point where Kickstarter, yeah, I understand what it is. We're not in 2012 when I did start my first Kickstarter in 2012. I needed to explain what Kickstarter was to everyone that I wanted to pledge on my books. Like, oh, what this thing is? Is it a pre-order? Yeah, kind of, but the project is not done yet. Your money going to be used for the funding? Yeah, but that was Kickstarter back then. Now Kickstarter, you just say, hey, I got a Kickstarter. Okay, cool, I pledge. It's understand now.
Right.
So, hey guys, it's the end of the show. We're running 1 hour right now. So, last plug, 30 seconds. Where we find you? What's going on for you?
All right, I'll go first. BrokeDownAndForDeadBodies.com. Follow me on Indiegogo for Broke Down and 4 Dead Bodies. We need your support. I'd love to get to the point where I can just get that to anybody who didn't get it. It's going into the printer. You're going to get it in July, so order the book. Why Faith Needs a little bit of help as well on Indiegogo.
Check out The Advocator on Kickstarter right now. Absolutely amazing book, an amazing series, which we already are. Travis, we're pretty much have everyone set up for issue 3.
Yeah, everyone's done for issue 3 and 3 and 4 right now, already put together. We're ready to go. We're rocking and rolling. It's a great idea.
The Advocator is a franchise.
Super cool, guys. So thank you for being on the show, the second episode of the show. It was a blast to having you, and thank you again for being here, and come back anytime. Thank you everyone for watching the show. Thank you for everyone in chat. Matt, Noel, and Stephanie that was the guest yesterday. You rock. And so see you on Monday for the next show. The one guest is confirmed so far is going to be Larry Older, and we're going to talk Star Wars and Death Stranding from Kojima. So see you next week, guys. Thank you.
Bye.